I have explained that research has identified that there are 6 diversity capabilities to close the diversity performance gap. And one of the first capabilities that we will explore is the mitigate bias capability. What is important to recognize for any leader is that an organization operates in a society, and there is societal bias, there's bias within the organization, we call it institutional bias, and we each have our own unconscious bias. We call it a personal bias. And in order to allow diversity to thrive and to invite in diverse representative groups and have their perspectives shared, they need to feel a sense of belonging. They need to feel that they are not seen through a lens of a stereotype. So, organizations need to, first of all, identify the biases and mitigate the biases. So how do you do that? Well, given there are more than 188 different types of cognitive biases, the start is to go back to the strategic narrative. Why is diversity important for us? What are the dimensions of diversity that are important? At the moment that you know those 2 ingredients, you can identify the biases that will restrict your strategic narrative being realized. You need to have a vocabulary to describe the bias. You need to educate people about recognizing bias and having a courageous discussion around it. You need to, in fact, create an incentive to have discussions where the biases are put on the table and dismantled. So, the mitigate unconscious bias capability is critical, for it allows an organization to, in fact, create an environment where there is a greater sense of belonging. Within the book, Beyond Diversity and Inclusion, I explore this mitigate bias capability blueprint and highlight the extent to which the things that you have to do change depending on the stage of diversity performance that you're reaching. So if you are at stage 2, then perhaps what you need to do is mitigate bias within the recruiting area and your client-facing areas. But certainly, if you are at stage 4, in terms of your diversity performance journey, then you will need to educate your entire organization on being able to mitigate unconscious bias.